He fired me on my wedding day. Then his father called me in panic. "You're terminated. Think of it as my gift to you." That message seared into my eyes as I stood there, still dressed in white, holding my bouquet. Just moments earlier, I had promised forever to the love of my life. Now, standing just off the chapel, surrounded by delicate floral decorations and the fading echo of applause from our guests, I stared at my phone, frozen. Tate Lawson, the boss's son. The man who had made my professional life unbearable for 3 straight months had chosen my wedding day to fire me. My wedding day. I held the phone out to Karen, my husband of 20 minutes. His response wasn't anger. He smiled knowingly, gently squeezed my shaking hands, kissed them, and said, "You'll want to check your messages later. But today is about us." I didn't understand how he could be so calm. I had just been dismissed from my role as lead project manager at the most respected architecture firm in the city, a position I had earned through sleepless nights and relentless effort. But when I looked into Karen's eyes, something in them said, "Trust me." So I turned off my phone, handed it to my maid of honor, and walked with Karen through the church doors, under a rain of rose petals and cheers. 3 hours later, as we slow danced for the first time as husband and wife, my maid of honor, Nima, rushed over. "Waverly, your phone is going crazy. You've missed 108 calls." I glanced at the screen. The office. Co-workers. 17 missed calls from a number I knew well. Gregory Lawson, the company's founder, and Tate's father. And that's when I realized, this wasn't just a firing. This was the start of something far greater. Before we dive deeper, please take a moment to like and subscribe. If this story moves you or surprises you, I promise, there's more to come. My name is Waverly Abrams. Until that text, I was the engine behind Crescent Design Studio. I'm naturally organized, so much so that I color-code my grocery lists and can detect blueprint errors from across the room. At the office, they called me the database. I never forgot a deadline, a client's preferences, or a single change order. My parents were both teachers who emphasized hard work and precision. When my dad suffered a stroke during my first year of college, I nearly left school to help at home. Instead, I doubled my course load, worked nights at a print shop, and graduated with honors. Gregory Lawson had hired me 2 years ago for my unusual mix of architecture and systems knowledge. My mission? Modernize Crescent's project management. So I built a system, entirely from scratch. One that tracked every blueprint version, budget shift, client edit, and permit. It revolutionized the workflow. Timelines shrank by 30%. Client feedback soared. Gregory called me his smartest hire. Then came Tate. At 32, he'd cycled through different roles in the company without success. He had his father's looks, but none of his experience or leadership. Then, 3 months ago, Gregory semi-retired and put Tate in charge of my department. Everything changed. Where Gregory included me, Tate ignored me. Where Gregory celebrated my contributions, Tate claimed them as his own. When I set up training for my system, Tate canceled them. Too expensive, he claimed. During this toxic time, I met Karen. He worked at the city's permit office. We bonded over blueprints, then coffee, then dinner. He was calm, kind, the eye in my storm. And what I didn't know was, he was keeping an eye on Crescent submissions. Specifically, the ones Tate had altered. 2 months in, Karen proposed. We planned a small, quick wedding, partly because we're practical people, and partly because I sensed something coming. Tate had been muttering about streamlining the team. I didn't expect he'd pull the trigger on my wedding day. As guests danced and music played, I slipped away to the bridal suite. I listened to the voicemails. Waverly. It's Gregory. Call me immediately. Tate didn't have authority to fire you. This is a disaster. More messages followed, each more frantic. No one can access the system. The West Side team is threatening to walk. Tate can't get in. We need you. I sat down on a velvet bench, my gown pooling around me. And I felt something I didn't expect. Power. For 2 years, I had built this system to be seamless for me, but complex enough that no one else could fully use it without training. Training Tate had shut down. Now, on what should have been the lowest day of my professional life, I realized something profound. I held every card. Karen found me staring at the phone. He sat beside me and said quietly, "There's something I need to tell you." He explained that Tate had been altering the submitted plans, cutting corners, removing safety features, swapping in cheaper materials. It wasn't just unethical. It was dangerous. Karen had documented it all and was about to report it. Now it made sense why he'd smiled at the firing. This wasn't a setback. It was an open door. "What should we do?" I asked. "Nothing," he said. "Not today. Today, we dance. Tomorrow, we go on our honeymoon. When we return," he kissed my forehead, "we'll rebuild everything." And we did. We returned to the celebration. I danced like a woman who'd just been given a new life, not one who'd lost her job. By midnight, my phone's call log had ballooned, over 200 missed calls. While we enjoyed our honeymoon in Bice, the calls never stopped. I let them all go to voicemail. Gregory's messages grew increasingly desperate. 3 days into our beach escape, as Karen and I sipped coconut water, Gregory left an offer. Triple my old salary if I'd just come back. I deleted the message. 2 days after that, he promised me partial ownership in the firm. I still didn't respond. Karen watched as I turned down these unbelievable offers. He didn't question my decisions. He knew what mattered to me. Not money, but self-respect. One night, as we watched the sun sink below the horizon, Karen said, "There's an opening on the city's consulting team. They're looking for someone who understands architecture from both the design and compliance sides. Someone who can help set new standards." I turned, intrigued. "Are you hinting what I think you're hinting?" He nodded. "I'm saying you should start your own consultancy, with the city as your first client. They'd pay you to build the kind of checks that would catch every shortcut Tate ever tried." I felt a spark light up inside me. By the time our flight touched down at home, I'd already drafted a business plan on my tablet. 3 days later, I officially founded Precision Protocol Consulting. Within minutes of my registration going live, Gregory called. I answered for the first time in 2 weeks. "Waverly. Thank God. We're in crisis. The downtown project is frozen. Clients are walking away. Please, name your price." "I'm sorry, Gregory," I replied calmly. "I'm not available for employment. I've launched my own consulting firm." "We'll hire your firm. Then, whatever your fee is, Crescent will pay it." I let the silence linger. "My first client is the city itself, Gregory. I'm designing a new set of protocols for reviewing building submissions." The sharp breath on the other end told me he grasped what that meant. If I was working for the city, any evidence of Tate's dangerous shortcuts would soon come to light, if Karen hadn't already turned in the documentation. He pleaded, "Tate made a huge mistake. He was jealous of your expertise, your relationship with me, everything. Please, let me fix this." Some mistakes can't be repaired, I said. Some bridges, once burned, are just ashes. I ended the call. Karen, listening nearby, saw my face. Is it wrong that felt so satisfying? I asked. He shook his head. No. You're just standing up for yourself, and for everyone's safety. That next week, I started my contract with the city. With my experience, I could spot the loopholes firms exploited. I built new rules that caught unauthorized changes, especially those that would have put lives at risk. The city, as part of this overhaul, conducted an audit of recent submissions. Predictably, Crescent's downtown project plans, specifically the ones Tate touched, were riddled with violations. Foundations weakened. Structural supports changed. Essential safety features erased to save a few dollars. The consequences were swift and severe. The project was pulled from Crescent and given to a rival. Tate wasn't just fired. He was blacklisted. His professional license suspended. Pending investigation. Crescent lost millions. Their reputation, 3 decades in the making, collapsed in a single month. Through the grapevine, I heard Gregory had suffered a minor heart attack from the stress. That didn't make me feel victorious. He had been a mentor to me, before his devotion to his son blinded him. Meanwhile, my own company took off. In 6 months, I was juggling contracts with multiple city governments and had to start hiring staff to keep up. Karen got a well-earned promotion. 2. We bought a fixer-upper. Solid bones. Endless potential. Just like the new life we were building. 1 year, to the day, after my wedding, a thick envelope arrived at my office. It was a letter, handwritten by Gregory Lawson. Dear Waverly, it began. Some debts can't be truly repaid, but acknowledgement is the start of making amends. He described how Crescent had overhauled its systems, put Tate through an ethics program, brought in new leadership, and completely rebuilt the way they did business. He didn't ask me to come back, only to consult, just for my expertise to ensure they never failed the public again. He ended with words that struck me deeply. You were right to demand more. You were right to stand your ground. Whether you accept or decline, my respect for you has only grown. That night, I read the letter to Karen. What do you think? I asked. He thought for a moment. Why would you go? For closure. For validation. For curiosity. All of that, I admitted. And maybe, just maybe, to see if people really can change. Then I think you know your answer. I scheduled the meeting for the next week. Gregory's assistant wanted me to come to Crescent's offices. I almost canceled, but curiosity won out. As I walked the halls, I saw new faces, new energy, new systems in place. The company was unrecognizable from the toxic place I'd left. I entered the conference room. Gregory stood to greet me. Tate sat next to him, staring at the table. Thank you for coming, Gregory said. His handshake was firm, but his face looked older, lined by stress. Your letter was a surprise, I said. This year has been an education, he replied, but a necessary one. He glanced at Tate. Tate has something to say. For the first time, Tate looked up. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something humbler. I owe you an apology, he said quietly. What I did was wrong. Unprofessional. Dangerous. There's no excuse. His face turned red. The shame was real. I noted the apology, not accepting or rejecting it. There's more, Gregory said, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were details of Crescent's new protocols, leadership, and a consultant contract with a significant fee. We're not asking you to rejoin us, only to review what we've built and tell us if it's good enough. As I read, Tate suddenly stood, then left and returned with a smaller envelope. Inside was a check for the exact cost of my entire wedding. How did you know this number? I asked, suspicious. Your wedding planner is my cousin's best friend, Gregory admitted. I wanted it to be exact. Tate spoke again, voice steadier. Consider this our real gift, the one I tried to pretend I was giving you when I fired you. A flash of anger ran through me. Did they think money could fix this? Before I could respond, Tate placed a USB drive on the table. This is also yours. It's the system you built. All of it, passwords and access included. We tried to replicate it, but it never worked right without you. I stared at it. 2 years of my life, condensed into something I could hold in my hand. Looking at Gregory and Tate, one chastened by failure, the other weighed down by shame, I realized something. True revenge doesn't always mean acting. Sometimes, surviving and succeeding is vengeance enough. I closed the folder and stood. I'll review your proposal and respond in a week. My fee is triple, payable up front. My team needs total access and transparency. Gregory agreed instantly. One more thing, I said, locking eyes with Tate. You will complete every training module I assign. No matter how basic or tedious, you will become the company's expert in proper, ethical project management. He paled but nodded. I understand. Then we have a deal. As I left, I paused. Oh, and Gregory, the check is unnecessary. Watching your son learn the value of integrity is all the payment I need. I walked out, head high. But this wasn't the end. That night, while Karen and I ate dinner, my phone pinged with a news alert. Crescent's competitor, the one who had been given the downtown project, was under state investigation for bribery. They'd apparently paid officials for fast approvals, despite serious design problems. Did you know this was coming? I asked Karen. He shook his head. It's new. The state's handling it. If the competitor collapsed, the downtown project would be up in the air again. Delays, job losses, a stalled community project. Maybe Gregory knew. Karen suggested. Maybe that's why he reached out. The realization hit me. I wasn't being courted because Gregory regretted what happened. He needed my skills to retake a major opportunity if the competitor was removed. I felt used. All over again. What are you going to do? Karen asked, reading my mood. I need to think, I said, pushing my food aside. But I barely slept. Was Tate's apology sincere? Was Gregory really committed to reform? Or just desperate to save Crescent? Most of all, what did I want? By dawn, I'd decided. I called Gregory at 7 a.m. I've reconsidered. I said, I'm not interested in consulting for Crescent. A long, disappointed silence. I understand, he said finally. However, I added, I'm open to a different arrangement. A partnership. He was surprised. A partnership? My company oversees project management and compliance. Crescent handles design and construction. We operate as equals, but separately. I remain independent and guarantee the work is done ethically. That's the only way I'll participate in the downtown project. He hesitated. What about Tate? Tate works for you. But any project he touches goes through triple review by my team. No exceptions. He paused again. I'll need board approval. You have 24 hours. Otherwise, I'll offer my own plan to the city. I ended the call feeling something I hadn't felt since before that infamous text. In control. 23 hours later, Gregory called. The board accepts. With one condition. A 3-year minimum commitment. 2 guaranteed. With a possible extension. Done. Just like that, Precision Protocol Consulting landed its biggest client. When the rival firm was removed from the downtown project, our new partnership stepped in with improved plans, stronger safety features, and a system blending my original design with the city's latest requirements. The city gave us the contract, praising our model as a new standard for accountability in architecture. Tate became a junior project coordinator, 5 steps below his old job. Each day, he received a training module from my team. Each night, he was tested on it. He never once complained. 3 months in, I arrived at the construction site early one morning and found Tate already there, checking concrete specs himself. You don't need to do that, I said. That's the engineer's job. I know. But if I'm going to learn this business, I have to understand every detail from the ground up. He wasn't the same man who fired me by text. I asked, why did you do it? Fire me on my wedding day? He winced, but didn't look away. Because you were right about everything. The systems, the training, the importance of safety. I hated that even my father admired you more than me. I wanted to hurt you at your most vulnerable moment. He looked down, ashamed. But all I did was destroy what could have been my best mentorship. I paused. You can't erase the past. But you can become someone who learns, who puts safety before ego, who admits mistakes. If you want it, I can be that mentor now. He nodded, determined. I do want it. I'll prove it. Then start with these specs. Show me what you found. We spent the next hour reviewing procedures. He asked sharp, thoughtful questions. I saw the glimmer of real change. As the team arrived, Tate hesitated. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? He asked. Forgiveness isn't something you're owed. It's earned. With actions, not words. Show me who you're becoming. He accepted that. Months passed. The downtown project stayed ahead of schedule. Our partnership model drew attention from cities nationwide. My consulting firm grew to 15 employees. Crescent, under its new system, slowly rebuilt its name. Tate, the man who once sabotaged training, now led them, making sure every member understood both process and purpose. 6 months in, my former assistant Raina visited. Gregory wants to promote Tate, she said. He asked me for your honest opinion. I raised an eyebrow. Raina was perceptive. Tate completed all the training, aced every test, and the team actually respects him. What do you think? I asked. I think he's changed. Maybe giving him real responsibility will prove it. Tell Gregory I'll support it. On one condition. Tate must handle the next community presentation by himself. The presentation was the next week. A tough crowd. Residents wary after so many broken promises. I attended in disguise, sitting at the back. Tate arrived early. Greeted residents, set up displays. When he took the podium, I saw nerves, but also honesty. Good evening. Some of you remember when this project failed last year. That was my fault. My shortcuts. I violated your trust. Nothing is. Approved without triple review. He explained how feedback shaped the design. When hard questions came, he admitted when he didn't know, promising to follow up. By the end, skepticism had become hope. People stayed after to ask more questions, and he answered each one with patience. I slipped out before he saw me. The next day, I called Gregory. He did well, I said. I was there. He's earned the promotion. Gregory was grateful. Just remember, I added, trust is rebuilt through repeated moments of integrity, not one good speech. That evening, as Karen and I walked by the building site, he asked, "Are you happy with how things turned out?" I thought carefully. I'm content. Not because anyone suffered, but because real change happened. Crescent is safer. The buildings are sound. The community wins. And Tate is finally becoming the person his position requires. Karen smiled. When I showed you that text on our wedding day, I never imagined this outcome. I thought you'd want total revenge. I smiled too. Maybe I would have, if you hadn't shown me a better way. Sometimes, the best payback is not destruction, but reconstruction, on your own terms. He laughed. Should we invite Gregory and Tate for dinner to celebrate? I laughed, too. Let's not push it. Professional respect is one thing. Friendship is another. One step at a time, he said. That became my motto. Every step, from that shocking text to building my own firm, led not just to surviving, but to something far greater. The downtown project was finished under budget and ahead of schedule. My firm kept growing, and I became known as the woman who turned a wedding day firing into a model for industry reform. As Karen and I strolled that night, my phone buzzed. A text from Tate. Thank you for supporting my promotion. I won't let you down. I showed Karen. Are you going to reply? He asked. I thought, then typed, make sure you don't. Some gifts can't be returned. It hit me then. The message came exactly 1 year after he'd fired me, calling it his gift. The symmetry was perfect. Some say I should have ruined Tate and Crescent completely. But that misses the point. True strength isn't in tearing down. It's in having the power to do so, and choosing to build something better instead. In the end, I didn't just get even. I moved ahead. And I did it not by sinking to Tate's level, but by rising so high above it that he'd spend years trying to reach where I now stand. If you've made it to the end, ask yourself, if you were in my place, could you turn betrayal into opportunity? Could you make revenge about transformation? It's not easy, but the most rewarding victories aren't always in destruction. Sometimes, it's what you create from the ashes of what tried to break you. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Have you ever turned a betrayal into a new beginning? Tell me your story below. And don't forget to hit that bell for the next chapter in navigating the messy world of careers, relationships, and building the life you truly want.